Bart has become a total pro gamer, crushing every opponent and leading his friends, all the way to Seoul, South Korea for the World Finals. And all this actually started with a punishment from Homer. To keep Bart from getting into trouble, Homer bought him a top-tier gaming PC. With this high-end setup, Bart was instantly hooked. At the same time, Bart's gaming talent was finally unleashed. He led his friends to victory after victory. Lisa didn't really get it and wondered why Marge was okay with Bart gaming all day. Marge felt that since Homer was finally taking an interest in Bart, they shouldn't discourage that bonding, no matter what. But Lisa wasn't happy about that. She said, "Well, if that's how it is, then I'll just become a bad kid and show you. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Since Homer and Marge didn't believe her, Lisa tried to prove herself by running to her room, grabbing a workbook, and flipping straight to the answer key. Meanwhile, Bart was getting a bit too obsessed with his game. He'd been in the bathroom for an hour without coming out. When Homer opened the door, he found Bart gaming while taking a shower. Homer told him to get out right now, but Bart said he was in the middle of a tournament and couldn't just bail on his teammates. Homer still wasn't having it, so Bart played his trump card and said the grand prize for the tournament was $1,000. When Homer heard that and double-checked the amount, he finally agreed for the sake of the money. On match day, the school's setup actually looked pretty professional. Bart's skills were on a whole other level, totally crushing his opponents. As expected, they won the game. Then came the trophy ceremony, where the principal pulled out $1,000. Just as the principal was about to get greedy, Homer snatched the cash and handed it out to the team. Once that was done, Bart told everyone to take a break. But then Homer popped up again and told them they didn't need to play anymore. He wanted them to go out on top after a win. Naturally, the kids were totally confused. Bart said there were plenty more tournaments to go, but Homer said, "You guys just won one small event. It's not like professional sports or politics where you can rake in tons of money. You're kids, you should enjoy your childhood." That's when Bart mentioned the next tournament had a prize of $500,000 to get Marge on board and teach Bart a lesson. Homer used Bart's prize money to buy Marge a gift. It was the exact coffee machine she'd been dreaming of. While distracting Marge, Homer said he was going to be Bart's coach to improve their relationship. Marge asked, "What kind of coach?" Homer replied, "I haven't decided yet. Maybe football, chess, or even one of those silly video game coaches. It doesn't really matter. Just drink your coffee." Homer was feeling pretty clever for once. Homer flexed in front of Bart, making sure he knew who was boss. To make sure they actually won the big prize, Homer even hired a professional gaming coach to train the team. The coach had heard of Bart's skills and thought he was good enough to be top 10 in the world. After talking to Homer, the coach started the training. First, he played a match against the kids. He set the strategy, and the game began. But the gap between a regular person and a genius is huge. The game was decided in an instant. The coach missed his window and lost. At that point, no amount of practice or supplements could save him. He realized the gap was just too big, so he decided to quit. Homer tried to get him to stay, but the coach's mind was made up. So Homer decided to take over the role himself. With Homer's encouragement, the team started their real training journey. Homer's method was pretty blunt. He just made them practice day and night. After all that training, it was time for the North American qualifiers. It was the U.S. versus Canada. Being a major qualifier, the competition was incredibly intense. Just as the kids were about to take down the enemy base, Bart's entire team got wiped out. Now the enemy was charging straight for Bart's nexus. Just when everyone thought it was over, and the other team started celebrating, the hidden bombs Bart had planted in the enemy base went off. It was a legendary comeback. They blew up the enemy base and won the match. With that, Bart's team officially secured their ticket to the World Championship. Next stop, Seoul, South Korea. Homer had been so busy with the games that he'd neglected his family. Seeing Homer spend all his time with Bart made Lisa feel really left out. But Homer completely ignored her complaints. The only thing on his mind was the competition. Luckily, Marge was there to comfort Lisa and offered to fulfill one of her wishes. Lisa said she wanted to go to the Jajiesa temple in Korea. She'd been interested in Buddhism for a while now. Since Bart's match was already in Korea, the whole family went together. Once they arrived, they took a bus to the hotel. But the moment they got there, Homer pulled Milhouse aside. The rules allowed for a roster change, so Homer planned to bench Milhouse since he was the weakest link. But Milhouse didn't come all this way to be a sub. While they were arguing, Lisa suggested that Homer go out and clear his head. She took the family to the temple, but you have to take your shoes off to enter. Inside, both tourists and monks were creating beautiful art using colored salt. Lisa couldn't wait for her family to try it. Before long, Marge and Maggie had finished a perfect family portrait. Marge was amazed at how beautiful it was. She was already wondering how to get it home, but Lisa told her they weren't taking it. Lisa brought them there to learn about Zen and how to let go of worldly attachments. She suggested they destroy the painting. Marge resisted at first, but after Lisa kept at it, she got a bit annoyed and just wiped the whole thing away. But as Marge looked at the ruins, she felt a sense of peace she'd never felt before. Lisa was so proud that Marge found that inner calm. Meanwhile, Homer had made a salt painting of himself. Lisa came over and told him to destroy it, but Homer absolutely refused to do it. Lisa asked him if he felt that sense of release. Homer said he didn't just feel it. He had reached total enlightenment. He decided right then to just lie flat and give up on all his ambitions. Even the monks were impressed and said Homer was like a reincarnation of Buddha. At the same time, Bart's match was about to begin, and the stadium was packed. It was the U.S. against Brazil. Since Homer still hadn't shown up, Bart was starting to panic. Meanwhile, Homer was feeling at one with the universe. He felt all the competition was meaningless. He stood on the roof looking down at the struggle below and felt he had to act. The match was at its peak, and Bart was leading his team toward victory. Just as they were about to win, Homer just reached out and pulled the main power switch. When Homer ruined the game, he felt completely peaceful, but the audience didn't feel the same way at all. The angry fans started rioting, and the police were called in to stop them. It was total chaos. The episode ended with a barrel of kimchi exploding. Fun fact about this episode: the Simpsons production team actually consulted with Riot Games, a company that made League of Legends, even though they asked for advice. Riot wasn't actually involved in writing the story. In the end, both sides were really happy with how it turned out. This also confirms that the guy who replaced Milhouse was actually Faker. The hair and the glasses are a perfect match, plus he's playing in the mid lane. Even though the background characters don't have many lines, the animators hit a lot of cool details. Like when the family first arrives in Korea, you can see a Simpsons animation studio in the background, and on the way to the temple, there's a logo for the world-famous boy band BTS. There are even some hints about the Korean War. For example, the music playing during the final riot is "Suicide is Painless." That was the theme song for MASH, a show about the Korean War. When Homer is looking at the screens, a few classic games flash by. The first one is the 1986 Legend of Zelda. The second is the iconic Pac-Man. And the third is one of the very first competitive games ever made, Pong. Since the detail in this episode was so good, don't forget to like and subscribe.